Good evening, everyone. Just wait for everyone to join. So today we'll be talking about the impact of your social environment and the effects that can have on your progress and your goals. Alrighty. So what we are going to, I'll touch on a few topics. So I've actually written some notes so I stay on track. So we've got what is your current environment like, and then we'll talk about what, hi everyone. So, like I was saying, we're going to talk about today how your environment impacts your goals and how that can affect your progress. So that can be like the change in the environment, also your social environment and the people who surround you as well. So to start off with, I want you to kind of think about the question about what is your current environment? So what does that feel like to you? Does it feel safe? Does it feel stressful? Does it feel uneasy? Does it feel calm? Does it feel positive? Does it feel happy? And when I'm talking about environment, I'm talking about the one that you most likely your living environment, so the one that you spend the most time in. But you can also refer this to like a work environment as well as your social environment as well. Because ideally we want it to feel really safe and calm, but however, that's sometimes not the case. So once you've kind of identified how you feel in your current environment, you then can kind of grasp between the impact that may have on you. So if your environment is feeling slightly stress and overwhelming, that can sometimes have a negative effect on how you go about your goals or how you come back into your own space. And so when we are setting goals, obviously we want support. So if you have a good environment, then you'll have stronger support. So we really want to focus on how you feel, then the impact of the environment, and if this environment is something that one needs to change or that we have to accept and then adapt to. And this is obviously very relevant to currently everyone's locked down in their environment. So how we go about that is going to definitely impact our decisions. So if you are in an environment that is slightly stressful, so that would be maybe you live with family members or you are a mum and you're constantly surrounded by kids and you don't have much time for yourself, that can then sometimes take away, the attention that you might be putting towards your goals. So for instance, if you're trying to input some, healthy habits into your lifestyle, such as, going to bed on time, maybe some meal prepping and maybe some activities either in or outside of your home, your living space is going to be affecting that as well. So if you've got a very stressful, overwhelming environment, that might struggle you to calm down. You might be on edge a bit of the time. You might struggle to give yourself that time as well to switch off and relax. And as well as, you might be up dealing with other people as well. So you've got to really find the balance within your environment. If that environment is feeling really positive for you, we don't want to always focus on the negatives. So it's feeling really supported, like your whole family's getting involved in your journey, everyone's eating healthy, everyone's doing activities and stuff like that as well. Then you can kind of build off that energy instead of kind of playing against it as well. So it can definitely go both ways. So once you kind of get in to the position where you kind of know if you're environment is going for or against you, you then can look at who makes up that environment. So if you live by yourself, obviously that will be you, and then maybe the people in your social circle. So the people who kind of, I guess, in your close-knit group who you have contact with the most. So then they're going to be the people who then affect how you feel. So when you go out and socialize with like your close friends or family, do you feel supported in that environment? Do you feel like people are listening to you, value your values and your goals and what you're working towards? Or are they kind of shaming you and, you know, pitting you against your own beliefs and stuff? Kind of, they're like, you know, if you're trying to eat healthier, they're going like, oh, you know, just like relax, you've been all good all week, like, you know, have this, have a few more drinks and stuff like that? Or are they supporting you and building you up and being like, you're doing so well, like, keep going, I'm so proud of you? Or like, you know, they're making the environment a bit more safer for you to, I guess, thrive. So kind of recapping what I've spoken about so far. So what your current environment is like, how it feels to you, how is it impacting you? Is it something that you are going to have to accept, or is it something that you can change? And then who is in that environment, how are they making you feel? And as well as like, how are they then impacting you? So then it comes back to the other end where it's like, okay, how do we know if we need to accept the environment and our people around us, or do we need to make some changes? So for the example I gave before, where, you know, you're in a social setting and people aren't aligning with your goals and values and they're not really supporting you. So there can be two things. You can go and be like, okay, I'm going to communicate to them how I'm feeling and be like, hey, if you, like, what you were saying is not really aligned with like what I'm trying to work towards at the moment. This is actually what I'm trying to work towards, and this really means a lot to me. And you can ask for them to like support you. However, if they still don't understand where you're coming from, that's okay. Now you can, you know, create a boundary and be like, okay, so that is someone that, you know, while I'm focusing on this goal, they're not really going to be impacting me in the right way and supporting me moving forward. And then it's up to you to see if that person is, you know, worth keeping around. Obviously, you know, if you're just going on like a health journey, but at the end of the day, you know, healthy changes, we want to be sustainable and for a long time, not just a short time. So if someone's completely knocking you down every time you try and look after yourself and better yourself, you might want to just look at the type of person they are projecting onto you and be like, you know, maybe they're not someone that I need to keep in my close circle. And you can reach out to other people. I'm just reading some of the comments you guys have got going, and I'll get to them, I'm sure, I promise, at the end. So once you've kind of identified your social circle and then things that you could change, then there's other areas where you just have to accept and adapt. So things that you have to maybe accept is like if you're like someone in their teens or their 20s and, you know, you're living at home and you want to kind of like, you have to accept the kind of like you're living with your parents and that's just kind of how it is. Or, you know, if you're a mum who has to work around kids all the time, you then can focus on how you want to kind of work around that. So creating time for yourself, and so you're going to accept the situation as it is and you're going to see how you can adapt to it. So if that is incorporating your kids into your workout or finding a time to, you know, train it where your kids are either asleep or your partner can look after them, and that then can support you in your progress, as well as, you know, finding foods to, like, you know, incorporate them to get them involved. So, you know, they can help you with maybe the healthy cooking and get them involved and get them excited about, you know, the new colors and changes in, you know, obviously it might be in their diet as well. If you're also making changes, they'll reflect down as well. So you can definitely go back and forth and kind of find a middle ground that works best for you, as well as if you are living with your parents, you can communicate to your parents being like, hey, I'm really wanting to make these healthy changes, integrate these healthy things into my lifestyle. This is the support I will need from you guys. And, it's up to them to communicate how they feel like they can support you as well, especially if you're trying to do it in the best healthy manner as well. And obviously it's good to create a supportive social circle. So, with a coach, finding, people who align with your values and your goals and everything as well, to then help support your overall environment. Because if you can create a space where you feel safe, supported, and, not stressed or anything, that is then going to help you progress so much better in your goals. So in relation to, what we're coming under at the moment, being in the current lockdown circumstances, especially all around Australia, is you kind of have to adapt. So if your environment is getting a bit cluttered because you're just spending so much time in the same space, and you have that limitation where you can't go out when you want to, and you can't use the resources that you had before. Maybe you were at a gym, maybe you were training outside, or maybe you're training face-to-face with a trainer, so you have to adapt to those situations. So the best thing you can do is kind of see what small things can you implement into your day to make that space a bit more livable for you. So if that might be, designating a workspace so you can remove yourself from that space and go, okay, I finished work from today, I'm going to go and eat, and you can eat at a table separate away from your workspace, as well as, away from your sleeping area as well. So creating space, hello Ben, creating space in your house to kind of delegate for different areas of your day, as well as, if you have a spot that you can work out. For myself, I work out in my lounge room because that's the biggest area, but I'm not going to do it in my bedroom because that's also my workspace and where I sleep. So delegating spaces in your house to create the environment to work with you, not against you, because especially in this current climate, we can get just overwhelmed with, feeling a bit restricted, and also limiting what you can do with the space you've got as well. Even, uplifting your space, so creating, some light, moving things around, and try and make everything feel a bit more safe with you as well. And as well as getting out of your space, so going outside and changing your environment. If you have the opportunity, take it. Even if it's just for 15 minutes, you go for a walk, that will change your headspace. And even if in between work or lunch, you go out and go for a walk before you go back into work for the rest of the day, that will make your headspace feel a lot better as well. So just to kind of recap of what I've spoken about so far. So what you want to do is you want to see what your environment is currently like. So how it feels, how's impacting you. Is it something you have to accept, or is it something that you can also change? Then you want to go through who's in your environment to make sure you've got a supportive circle and supportive people around you as well, to make sure that everything is working with you and not against you. And if you do feel like there's people who aren't supporting you, always communicate and open up to them about your goals and about why you are doing everything, because sometimes people just don't understand and they're just confused, or they might be projecting something that is an insecurity of theirs. So you might need to just put up a little boundary between yourself and them, which isn't necessarily a negative thing. It's just purely protecting yourself. And in that case, you don't really need to take in consideration how they'll feel about those boundaries, because it's all about, protecting your inner energy and your goals and what is best for you in that current circumstance. And that's the same when you go home and you are living in a space with like other people and roommates, communication is key to make sure everyone understands where you are coming from. So the environment around you is supporting you and not going against you, because, making hard decisions and changes in your lifestyle is really hard, and it takes time, and it takes a lot of effort as well to make changes. So the less barriers you have up, the better it will be for you in the long run. That is for sure. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I'll just scroll through to see if there's some from the top. Someone asked what my favorite food is. I would say chocolate. How to exercise, getting into push-ups. Push-ups start a regression and then progress as you go up, and you can work with a coach, or you can also start with just like a bench and then slowly work your way onto the floor, and just working on it every day is the best. Yes, 100%. The secret to life is not to be bothered by what people think. Exactly. So at the end of the day, you are doing stuff for you, and that's the main thing you need to focus on, and that's going to best support you and your goals. Some really good stuff in here. Emily says it's so important to know who and the person who you want and why, but also having that who can be critical to keep you going. Yeah. And see any more questions? Alrighty. Well, if there aren't any more questions, I can wrap this up for you. But yeah, just keep going with what you are doing, and then just adapt your space and your environment to support your goals. And don't let other people's views impact them, because at the end of the day, you are doing it for you. You need to support you, and you need to look after what is best for you and moving forward, as long as that is in the most sustainable and healthiest way possible for you. So communicate and acknowledge how everything is feeling. Acknowledge what you have to accept and what you can change, and what things are in your control and what things aren't in your control, and just go from there. It's a really tricky time at the moment. Everyone is struggling in their own separate ways, but the best thing to do at the moment is purely just focus on what you can control and how you react to things, and how you can respond to your environmental changes to hopefully support you in the best way possible. If you do have any other questions that I haven't had time to answer now or haven't seen, you can always leave them in the comments of the post as well. But I hope you all have a lovely night, and I will see you next Mindset Talk. Bye.